Good morning. Kevin Kuzia, fierceandmighty.com. Relentlessly push yourself forward. It's a lovely Thursday morning here in Connecticut. And I had some thoughts this morning as I was running out to grab myself a little coffee. Headed over to Starbucks. All out of cold brew, only regular iced coffee. The struggle. So real. So unfortunately, I don't have my delivery in yet from the fine folks at Black Rifle Coffee Company. That will be coming soon. Love those guys. Coffee's great. Veteran owned business. Big fan. Anyway, I digress, per usual. So as I was driving in and sort of making my way through the town at a little after 6 this morning, and pretty morning actually, but, not a lot of cars out and everything else. The thing that I noticed was that there were all kinds of businesses all over the place, like you'd probably find in any town similar to where I live, Glastonbury. Of all shapes, sorts, sizes, kinds. Restaurants and bars and shops and hairdressers and specialty food stores and accounting firms and medical offices and law offices. Just any bike shops, yoga studios, barbecue places, wine and package stores, all that different kinds of stuff, just everywhere, right? And it was in that moment that it kind of hit me, because I think a lot to myself, well, gee, if I ever wanted to go out and do something completely on my own, right? If I ever wanted to go out and, start my own business of some kind and, be an entrepreneur and everything else, I've always sort of recognized for myself that I definitely have a bit of a mental block about that. Well, could I do it? And what would it mean to do it? And how do I really take that leap? And that, I think, was sort of the interesting thing from this morning. As I drove around to see how many businesses here in Glastonbury, which isn't some sprawling metropolis, it's a decent sized town in Connecticut, but it's not like it's New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, Miami, Dallas, insert name of large metropolis in Connecticut. In the United States here, Connecticut doesn't really have any sprawling metropolises, right? They're everywhere. And it then sort of struck me that despite my own challenges about where I think it would need to take me to get past that point of resistance, which is a very firm and distinct point in my own mind, man, people do this stuff all the time. I mean, you just had to drive around in this one particular town to see that. And if I went over to the next town, I'd see that. I went over to the next town, and the next town, and the next town. Thousands of these things, just right here in Connecticut, that people from all backgrounds and all demographics and, insert your chosen word of variety there, education levels, age, gender, regardless, right? People are doing this all the time. And that's what I think is sort of the funny thing for me as I had this point of resistance in my own head is it's not an uncommon thing for people to go out and take these chances and do these things. Right? And so that's what I thought was funny to me is that I don't know why in some ways I haven't had the thought more of, well, gee, why not me? Why couldn't I? I like to think I'm a, person of decent intelligence and some amount of capability and everything else. I don't know how, my skill sets and everything else aren't all that different for everybody else, except for the fact that they've taken the jump. And it's funny to me how I can stop and really think about what is that thing that holds back the resistance. And I've done a video on this before, sort of a back and forth with David Delanave about entrepreneurship and a little bit of that mindset, because he has it, and I clearly don't. But I thought this was kind of an interesting moment this morning in crystallizing that thought for myself. And I think it's kind of going to stick a little bit in my own head of what are those things that cause the sticking point, and what are the things that can kind of wake you up from the sticking point. So I guess my thought more than anything else, because I don't like to make this just some sort of navel-gazing attempt to think about my own circumstance, I'm sure for you that there's some point that you have about a resistance, about something you're not sure you can do or try or anything else. I would definitely encourage you, for whatever that thing may be, is just to stop for a bit and think and look around, and whatever that thing is that you're having a hard time trying to get yourself through, notice how common it is for people to have actually done that. And that it may not really be whatever it is that you've built up in your own mind to be such a massive wall to work your way through. I get it. We're all different. We all have different levels of acceptance of risk, and all have different levels of how much adventuresome you want to be, and all the rest of that. I totally get it. But I think at some level, it can get a lot easier when you start to notice that, people that really aren't all that different from you, and for whatever that thing may be, are out there giving it a shot. And I think that's sort of a notable thing. So, whether it's, gosh, whatever it could be, right? Like you want to go try yoga or CrossFit or something else, right? Oh, I don't know if I could do that because, I'm some middle-aged person, or I'm in my 50s, or I've never really been an athlete and everything else. You'd be surprised at how many people that fit all those criteria and all those characteristics and go out and do that exact thing. Just to pull one random example. You'll find it. If you open your eyes and you look around, you'll find it. Like I said, it took me going out and getting my coffee, fortunately not cold brew, to see that exact thing this morning. You'll see it too. And hopefully it'll start to sink in. That really maybe it's not all that uncommon and special as you built it up to be. I got to be honest with you. I hope I take that lesson myself. Probably be a good thing for me. Kevin Kuzia, fierceandmighty.com.